Hi everybody, it's Kay Gray. I'm in beautiful Vermont, across the country, and really enjoying my time alone. Today I wanted to talk about imagination and why we have it and how we can use it to our advantage. I think something that we don't realize is how much of our universe we create in our own minds. We tend to think that reality is this concrete thing, and you know, a stone is a stone, and the sky is blue, and my name is Kira, whatever. Like, we think that those things are concrete, real things, but they are only as concrete as we believe them to be. I think that our imaginations serve a neurochemical benefit, and I wonder whether it's something that is unique to humans or not. Something I'd like to study, but it seems that humanity in general tends to move forward when we imagine things. We imagine a different situation, a different scenario, and then we go out and make it happen. I think that it's interesting how it feels really good to imagine things. And I'm sure that there's a dopamine response involved. I'd love to know what else there is involved. If you know exactly, what the neurological process is of imagination, then please tell me in the comments. But my other video on placebo, I think it's actually kind of the same thing. And if we start talking about belief, imagination, creativity, all as this one big process, then we can bring it back to how it has physical benefits. And when we are imagining things, we have like a neuroendocrine response, and we have a hormone response, and we can heal. We can heal our bodies from imagining and believing in things. So if we're talking about, there's a big difference between how we feel if somebody says, I'm your neighbor, I live next door. And then if somebody says, I'm from a faraway land in a different time, or, I'm from a different planet, immediately we have this, our imagination starts clicking, and it feels really, really amazing. And I'm really curious about why that is. But I think it's important to recognize that we do that. And that much of the things that we choose to do in life is because of what we're imagining it to be. And me personally, I think it's possibly an autistic thing. At least, for me. I have a really hard time imagining concrete reality. So I have to do things in order to know what they're actually going to be like, because in my imagination, they are so different than when I actually get there and start doing things. And it never feels nearly as good as it does in my head. And maybe you relate with that. Maybe you struggle with being lost in your imagination, and your brain is going and all these chemicals are swimming and it feels so good. And then when it comes to paring down to a concrete reality, it doesn't feel as good, and it's kind of boring and often disappointing, and sometimes it even hurts. I kind of related it this morning to the double slit experiment, where it takes energy to break a potential wave down to a concrete point in time and space. And maybe this is like a quantum leap thing that we're doing in our heads, is that we are imagining potential realities, and it feels really good. Like, we're supposed to do that. That's how we grow. And that's how we get ourselves to new places in life. And then when we have to like be logical and break that reality down to, nope, this is this, it generally does not feel very good, and we don't like to do it. So, you know, a religion definitely falls under that umbrella. I think that the elation that people feel when they think about the idea of God is their imagination running wild. And I mean, it's clearly important for functioning. Like we have this function of imagining and believing for a reason. And I think it's like a survival thing. Like maybe this is how we survived, is our bodies adapted to imagine. And that way we were able to overcome physical obstacles that we otherwise wouldn't be able to, because our brain is literally bathing us in positive chemistry when we imagine stuff. So it also explains why people get really upset when you tell them their religion isn't real, or you question them, because maybe there's an addictive element to it too, or at least a survivalist element. And it's like, no, don't tell me that my imagination is wrong, because I can't live without that. You know, like it's a physical thing, like a physical need. And back to the, like, kind of a side note in terms of free will, which we've already talked about how it doesn't exist. This is an example of how it doesn't exist. That you don't do stuff unless it feels good. So if it didn't feel good to imagine things, you wouldn't do it. And for people who don't imagine stuff, it probably doesn't feel good, or they don't have the functionality to imagine things. Some people don't. So, you know, in general, free will aside thing, if you don't have positive programming, a positive reinforcement inside your own brain, you're not going to do something, no matter what it is. So altruism doesn't exist, because the definition is doing something nice for someone else at your own expense, but it's never an expense, because the only real expense would be a neurochemical one. So if it hurt you, and then you like neurologically hurt you, and then you still did it, that would be altruism. And I don't think that exists. I don't think people neurologically hurt themselves, like make themselves feel panic and neurological pain to do something nice for somebody else. I don't think that we generally have that. So anyway, imagination is cool, and I think that it's probably really healthy. Given, you know, I think with a dose of reality, there's always this balance. Like you can't leave reality too much, because then you start forgetting your body and your friends and your house, and everything falls apart. So, you know, you got to find that equilibrium between imagining things and spending time like bathing your body in that chemistry, and then attending to the real concrete things. And finding that balance is a lifelong journey. All right. Peace from the East Coast.